This is hilarious. This whole situation is hilarious. So, obviously, I picked the whole Mercury team to show up in Alyssa Thomas jerseys. It was just her wife, fiance. I'm not sure their relationship. Fair enough. Like, no matter how much Alyssa Thomas is completely in the wrong in this scenario, look, DeWanna Bonner is always going to support her. You can't have any issue with that. Let's be very real. No matter what, you can't have any issue with that. And then Tibbetts before the game. Tibbetts before the game coming out here saying, like, is the photo? I respect Stephanie White and I understand
DianaTaurasi didn't just cross the line, she erased it entirely. While the world watched in horror, the Phoenix Mercury legend made it clear that CaitlinClark wasn't just a rival, she was a target. The hits kept coming, the words got sharper, and the silence from the league office was the loudest part of the entire night. This wasn't just basketball anymore, this was a message sent directly to the rookie sensation, and the fallout is currently tearing the WNBA apart at the seams. Nobody expected the veteran to go this far, but Diana just proved she has zero intentions of playing nice. The tension in the arena was thick enough to cut with a knife, and the locker room remains in a state of pure chaos after these unbelievable attacks.
Out here saying, like, is the photo? I respect Stephanie White and I understand standing up for a player, but to say 2 cheap shots in that game is ridiculous. Valuai charged at Caitlin, and then when Caitlin's follow-through hit her shoulder, ran down holding her face. So, I don't know if I'll go full cheap shot on that, but, like, yeah, pretty bad. Pretty bad from Ai there. I'm not going to lie. It was pretty grim. But I'm going to be real here. That was that was all around a not very good situation.
CaitlinClark stood there in absolute disbelief as the realization hit her. The game had shifted from a competitive matchup to a relentless physical assault. It started with the subtle bumps, but it quickly escalated into something much more dangerous. We saw 3 back-to-back cheap shots that left fans screaming for justice. This wasn't a case of "welcome to the league" physicality. This was a deliberate attempt to rattle the biggest star in the sport, and the most shocking part, the Mercury isn't apologizing. They are doubling down on every single hit, claiming that the rookie is the one who needs to adjust her attitude if she wants to survive the season. It is a level of aggression that we have rarely seen directed at a single player.
It played out how it should have been professionally. I'm going to be very real. Like, is there a different argument to be had to say the league should be reaching out to players whenever these situations happen to make sure they're all okay? Because, like, obviously, like, there's some not off the court stuff that can be issues. Sure, I'm going to be very real. It's one of those things now where if you want to make that argument, sure. But this is a league that doesn't.
The moment that stopped everyone's heart was the strike to the throat. Medical experts and doctors have already weighed in, claiming that if the force had been just a bit higher, we could be looking at a catastrophic injury. We are talking about a potential life-altering situation on a basketball court, yet, the perpetrator didn't even flinch. Instead of checking on the rookie, the Mercury players seemed to feed off the chaos. It was a grim scene that showed exactly how much resentment is simmering beneath the surface of this veteran-heavy roster. This wasn't just a foul, it was a statement of intent. The fact that Clark was able to keep playing is a testament to her toughness, but she shouldn't have to face this level of violence.
But that's not the argument the cop was trying to make. Kind of like Kyle said, we don't think it was handled the best way. There's a lot of narratives going around her false and untrue, but that's not who she is. The narrative that she is a dirty basketball player are true. I don't know Alyssa Thomas the person. Alyssa Thomas could be the nicest human being in the world. I have no idea. I don't necessarily care because that is absolutely irrelevant to the point of my point about Alyssa Thomas the basketball player. Like, everybody fucking was hyped up Fee's tear down of Kathy Engelbert. Why did Fee tear down Kathy Engelbert? Because Alyssa Thomas was allowed to plow through her ankle and break her. Like, again, Fee has not.
Mercury coach Nate Tibbetts didn't help matters when he stepped to the microphone. Instead of condemning the dangerous play, he essentially read from a script to protect his locker room. He claimed the league didn't get both sides of the story and that his players were the ones being unfairly targeted by the narrative. It was a masterclass in gaslighting. To watch a player get punched in the face and then claim your team is the victim is a level of delusion that hasn't been seen in this league for a very long time. Tibbets is clearly trying not to lose his team, but at what cost? By defending these actions, he is essentially giving his players permission to keep attacking Clark without any fear of internal consequences or discipline.
Right now, watching both sides of the story, like an interview process doesn't have to be made, even if it's unintentional. Like, a throat punch is probably a suspension in any sports league. You are probably suspended, and unpopular opinion, a flagrant 2 should be an automatic 1-game suspension. Like, a flagrant 2, no matter what, should be an automatic 1-game suspension. And I don't think that should be a crazy statement to make. Like a straight red card in soccer is an automatic 1-game suspension. And ironically, an ejection is an automatic 1-game suspension. And
the narrative shift was almost instantaneous. Suddenly, the player who threw the punch was being portrayed as the one whose mental health was at risk. The league started looking into how the aggressor was feeling rather than checking on the rookie who was gasping for air. It's a bizarre twist that has left fans and analysts scratching their heads. How did we get to a point where the person committing the foul is treated with more sensitivity than the person who was actually harmed? It's a total reversal of common sense. The league is so desperate to avoid conflict that they are effectively victim-blaming the person who was targeted. This approach is only making the situation more volatile as the season progresses and the stakes get higher.
And unpopular opinion, a flagrant 2 should be an automatic 1-game suspension. Like, a flagrant 2, no matter what, should be an automatic 1-game suspension. And I don't think that should be a crazy statement to make. Like a straight red card in soccer is an automatic 1-game suspension. And ironically, an ejection is an automatic 1-game suspension. And I wouldn't even be that annoyed at those rules. If you get yourself tossed, it's a 1-game suspension. If you pick up a flagrant 2, it's a 2-game suspension. If you get 2 flagrant 1s, it's a 1 game. If you pick up a flagrant 2, it's 2. I wouldn't be...
DianaTaurasi has been the face of this no-mercy attitude. For weeks, she has been dropping hints and taking shots in the media, but seeing it manifest on the court was something else entirely. She refuses to back down from her stance that the rookie needs to earn her spot, even if that means looking the other way when things get ugly. This isn't just about one game. This is about a legend who refuses to pass the torch without a fight. And right now, that fight is getting way too literal for comfort. Diana's refusal to stop her verbal and physical attacks has created an environment where anything goes. She is setting the tone for the entire Mercury organization, and that tone is one of pure, unadulterated hostility toward the new face of the game.
Duh. But I'm being very clear. She's not the victim here. The victim is the person who they have made out to seem as the aggressor, which was the player who just got... she attempted to elbow CaitlinClark, jumped on her, put a fist on her throat, kneed her in the groin, and attempted to stomp on her. We gotta be very clear. If it was just this, she's probably not getting suspended. It was 3 back-to-back cheap shots. 3 back-to-back cheap shots. And I don't think Nate Tibbets believed what she said, or what he said, because he's literally he's reading a script. And
we have to talk about the sheer volume of the attacks. It wasn't just one isolated incident. We saw a knee to the groin, an elbow to the shoulder, and a blatant attempt to stamp on a player's foot. These are the kind of moves that get you banned in almost any other professional sports league. If this happened in the NBA, we would be talking about a multi-game suspension and massive fines. But in the WNBA, it seems like these veterans are being given a free pass to do whatever they want to the new face of the league. It is a dangerous double standard that is putting Clark's career in jeopardy every time she steps onto the hardwood. The level of physicality has surpassed tough play and entered the realm of targeted harassment on a national stage.
Attempted to elbow CaitlinClark, jumped on her, put a fist on her throat, kneed her in the groin, and attempted to stomp on her. We gotta be very clear. If it was just this, she's probably not getting suspended. It was 3 back-to-back cheap shots. 3 back-to-back cheap shots. And I don't think Nate Tibbetts believed what she said, or what he said, because he's literally like, he's reading a script, and I think he's just trying not to lose his team, because let's be very clear, like, it is what it is. I don't think he's trying to lose his team. And even if you are completely against what Alyssa Thomas said, you're her coach.
There is a heated debate right now about whether a flagrant 2 foul should lead to an automatic suspension. In soccer, a red card means you are out. In the WNBA, it feels like a suggestion. The league has been far too lenient for far too long, and now it's coming back to haunt them. By not setting a firm boundary, they have essentially told players that violence is an acceptable part of the game. It's a dangerous precedent that is putting the health of their most valuable assets at risk every single night. That if the WNBA wants to be taken seriously as a top-tier professional league, they need to implement rules that actually protect the players. A 1-game suspension for a throat punch isn't just lenient, it's practically an invitation for more of the same behavior. The dirty player label is starting to stick, and the Mercury organization is panicking. They are trying to argue that this isn't who she is, but the tape doesn't lie. When you have a history of plowing through ankles and throwing throat punches, your reputation is earned. You can be the nicest person off the court, but that doesn't change the fact that you are a liability on it. The fans aren't buying the PR spin anymore. They see exactly what is happening, and they are demanding accountability for the rookie's safety. It doesn't matter how long a player's career has been or how many accolades they have. If they are intentionally trying to hurt others, they need to be removed from the court. The good person defense is irrelevant when someone's health is at stake. Despite the onslaught, CaitlinClark is trying to keep her head high, but the shock is visible. Imagine coming into a league you've dreamed of your life, only to realize that the legends you looked up to are actively trying to hurt you. It's a mental toll that no rookie should have to carry. She's being forced to play the role of the bigger person while being physically beaten down every 40 minutes. The pressure is mounting, and the breaking point feels closer than ever before. You can see it in her eyes during the post-game interviews. The excitement of being a professional is being replaced by the reality of being a target. She is handling it with grace, but nobody should be expected to endure this kind of treatment just for doing their job. Let's go back to those medical warnings because they are terrifying. A strike to the throat can cause the airway to collapse or even lead to long-term neurological damage. When experts are saying a player could have ended up in a wheelchair, the conversation needs to change. This isn't tough defense. This is a safety hazard. If the league doesn't step in soon, we might be looking at a tragedy that could have been easily avoided with a few simple whistles and a bit of discipline. We are talking about the literal life of an athlete. To downplay a throat punch as part of the game is irresponsible and dangerous. The league needs to consult with these medical professionals and realize that they are one bad hit away from a disaster that could ruin the sport's reputation forever. Where are Caitlin's teammates in all of this? That's the question everyone is asking. When a star player gets targeted like this, usually the enforcers on the team step in, but the Fever seem paralyzed. It's almost like they are afraid to challenge the veteran hierarchy of the league. This lack of protection is only emboldening the Mercury to keep the attacks coming. If nobody is going to stand up for Caitlin, the Mercury will continue to treat her like a punching bag until she can't get back up. A team has to protect its own, and right now Clark looks like she is on an island. The lack of a strong response from her own bench is just as shocking as the attacks themselves. It's a complete failure of team chemistry and leadership in the face of blatant bullying. DianaTaurasi's refusal to stop her attacks is what's truly baffling. Most veterans would take the win and move on, but she seems intent on making a point. Every interview, every sideline comment, and every hard screen is a reminder that she isn't going anywhere. It's a psychological war as much as a physical one. She wants to see if the rookie will fold under the weight of the GOAT's disapproval. So far, Caitlin is holding on, but the cracks are starting to show in her post-game expressions. Taurasi's persistence is legendary, but in this case, it feels more like an obsession. She is using her massive platform to continuously undermine a young player who has done nothing but bring more eyes and money to the league. It is a strange and disappointing hill for a legend to die on. There's a running joke now that the old NBA slogan, "Where amazing happens," has been replaced for CaitlinClark with "Where violence happens." It's a sad commentary on the state of the game. People are tuning in to see elite basketball, but they are leaving with a bad taste in their mouths after seeing what looks like a street fight. The league's marketing is built on these new stars, yet the product on the floor is actively trying to dismantle them. It's a self-destructive cycle that makes no sense. If you kill the golden goose, you don't get the eggs. The WNBA is finally getting the mainstream attention it has craved for decades, but if that attention is focused on violence and dirty plays, it won't last. The league needs to decide what kind of brand it wants to be. A huge part of the problem is how the media is handling this. Many analysts are afraid to call out the veterans because they don't want to lose access. They frame these dangerous plays as competitive spirit or old school ball, but call it what it is, it's bullying. When a group of veterans decides to collectively punish a younger player for her success, it's not competition. It's an ego trip. The media needs to stop making excuses for behavior that wouldn't be tolerated in any other professional environment. By sanitizing the situation, they are complicit in the culture of silence that allows these attacks to continue. We need honest reporting that highlights the danger Clark is in rather than trying to protect the feelings of the legends involved in the scandal. This aggressive culture within the Mercury didn't happen overnight. It's been curated over years of dominant play and a us against the world mentality. But there's a difference between being tough and being reckless. Right now, the Mercury are crossing into reckless territory. They are so focused on maintaining their status that they've lost sight of the game itself. When winning isn't enough and you feel the need to physically dominate a rookie, you've already lost the moral high ground. The organization seems to have embraced a villain persona, but there is nothing heroic about hitting a player in the throat. This culture of aggression starts at the top and trickles down to every player on the roster, creating a toxic environment that is detrimental to the entire league. Why is the WNBA office so quiet? That's the multi-million-dollar question. They are happy to collect the record-breaking revenue that CaitlinClark is bringing in, but they won't lift a finger to ensure she can actually finish the season. Their leniency on foul calls is legendary, but this is taking it to a whole new level. By refusing to hand out significant suspensions, they are essentially giving the Mercury a green light to continue their unbelievable attacks without any real consequences. It's a massive failure of leadership that could have long-term consequences for the league's growth. If fans feel that the stars aren't safe, they will eventually stop watching. The league's silence is being interpreted as an endorsement of the violence, and that is a very dangerous message. The conversation around mental health in this situation is incredibly lopsided. We are hearing about the stress the veterans feel from the hateful comments online, but what about the mental health of the player getting punched in the throat? CaitlinClark is under a microscope that no athlete has ever experienced at her age. To add physical trauma on top of that is a recipe for disaster. The league needs to realize that protecting their players means protecting them from physical harm first and foremost. You cannot have mental well-being when you are constantly fearing for your physical safety on the court. The double standard is glaring, and it shows a complete lack of empathy for the rookie who is carrying the weight of the entire league on her shoulders right now. Everyone keeps saying these hits are unintentional. She didn't mean to hit her that hard. It was just a follow-through. But, when it happens 3 times in a single game, the unintentional excuse stops working. It becomes a pattern. Basketball is a fast game, but professional athletes have incredible control over their bodies. They know exactly where their elbows and knees are going. To suggest that these hits were just accidents is an insult to the intelligence of every fan watching the game. We are seeing a calculated effort to physically intimidate a player. The oops defense is a convenient lie used to avoid the heavy fines and suspensions that should be coming their way. It's time for the league to stop buying into these excuses and look at the clear evidence. This rivalry between Clark and the Mercury isn't going away. If anything, it's only going to get more toxic. Every time these teams meet, the tension is going to be through the roof. The league is leaning into the drama for ratings, but they are playing with fire. If a star player gets seriously hurt because the league wanted a grudge match narrative, the backlash will be catastrophic. They are walking a very thin line between high-stakes entertainment and a total PR nightmare. The fans want to see competition, but they don't want to see a career ended by a cheap shot. The Mercury has made it clear they won't stop. So, It's up to the league to decide how much more of this they are willing to tolerate before the situation spirals completely out of control. DianaTaurasi is risking her entire legacy with this behavior. She is arguably the greatest to ever do it, but if her final act is defined by bitterness and attacks on the next generation, that's what people will remember. History isn't always kind to the veterans who refuse to step aside.